it's upsetting, obviously, to have a 4-7 football team to talk about. But I thought there was some cool stuff that the quarterback did yesterday. Would love to know what you saw from Caleb Williams.
Definitely some cool stuff that he did. He made some really special throws. I tell you what, the last 2 weeks, what I really loved about Caleb is the pace by which he's playing the game. That he's getting through his reads, and most times it's kind of getting beyond number one. I think a big part of early in the year, you'd kind of get stuck on number one, and that would kind of keep him behind on everything else. Right now, I see a quarterback that if he sees number one open, he's attacking it, and he's really, really good when he knows where he wants to go with the football. When he gets beyond that, a lot of it has become, hey, I don't like it. I don't see it in front of me. Go create and do the things that you're really good at. And so he's playing the game faster from that perspective. He's getting through things faster, and it's allowing him to be able to create a little bit faster, which is something that he's very, very comfortable with. As we all know, we saw him do it in college, and we're starting to see him do it a little bit better these last couple weeks. And I think more of what we all expected he could be, at this level. There's still lots of room for improvement in terms of, eyes in the right place, as I always talk about, getting through some progressions a little bit faster, feeling more comfortable with exactly what he's seeing. But I love that he sped up the process by which he's playing. And I think that's why it just appears so much better the last 2 weeks, because it doesn't seem like the speed is overwhelming him or he's above his depth. He's playing within the realm of what he's capable of doing right now. And the hope is to keep doing that while growing, more and more into the position.
Kurt, one of the big measurements for us this past week was seeing what he was going to do against Brian Flores and how Flores is so creative in his defensive calls. To me, that was the mano-a-mano matchup to watch. What did you think of what Flores did and how Caleb was able to counter it and then thusly have a lot of progress in that fourth quarter?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple times where Flores tried to confuse him and then run out of their blitz coverages, and sometimes that can be tough for a quarterback. Is that all of a sudden everybody's at the line of scrimmage, and then all of a sudden everybody's running out while you have the ball in your hands and trying to figure out what throw to make. And those were a couple of the times where you saw Caleb kind of just pick a guy and just stroke it to him. Put some heat behind it and drive it in there on a couple throws, which I love, because sometimes that's what it becomes. As they run out of there, it's hard to tell exactly what the structure of the defense is. So you're looking to kind of go through your reads, but you're trying to find where the windows are in the defense to kind of hit them where they're not. And I thought he did that well a couple times. Flores and company are always going to win a couple battles, and they did that in this game. Something that I still believe Chicago is not just Caleb, but Chicago as an offense has to get better against pressure. Caleb recognizing protections, where the free guy is going to come from. If there is a free guy that comes, what are the answers? Are they giving him answers to get the ball out of his hands? Too many negative plays for me when teams are bringing pressure against them. So that has to improve. But again, I thought he did some really nice things, made some really nice throws. You saw, the ability to change up. Sometimes it was a fastball, that deep in that he threw late in the game, to be able to get that up and down over the underneath defenders for that big, play to kind of set them up, for that game-winning, situation. So I just think there was a lot of good things. And, another number of times it was also the play calls. They were giving him, his first read. His first read was open against the pressure, against those different looks. And that's something that always helps for a quarterback. When, you're not quite sure what they're doing and your first read is open, where you can just come back, put it on that guy and go, it slows down what a defense is trying to do with all those different pressure looks. So I thought overall, they did a pretty decent job of handling what Brian Flores does and what they were trying to do. And, that's why they had success and had a chance to win the game.
I know that this is a little bit more of a nebulous question, but we like to lean on your experience of being a Hall of Fame quarterback. If you have access to one, you should ask the quarterback questions. Because you had a bunch of comebacks in your career, some of the most in NFL history. What's it like when you're in that zone where maybe the defense starts off playing a little soft, but you make enough big plays that they have to tighten up, and you're in the zone of getting your team back into a game? What's that like?
It's just more about the moment and being in the moment and not thinking about, we're trying to come back or we need this throw to win. You just kind of get in the moment, and you lock in a little bit more because hey, I've got to make some plays for my team, and but it's a fun place to be because the ball is going to be in your hands. It's not one of those things like, hey, we're going to hand the football off most of this drive. No, ball is in your hands to make the decisions and to make the throws. And for any competitor, that excites you to be in those moments, and to know that we win or lose, this one is on me. And and I've always believed that with the great quarterbacks. And I even tell some of the young quarterbacks that I work with is that if you want to be great, you have to be willing, to take that upon yourself, and you have to be willing to say, this is going to be because of me, and I'm willing to put that on my shoulders. And we might lose because of me, but I love being in that situation. So win or lose, it's about me. Either I'm making the plays or I'm not making the plays, and it's not dependent on somebody else to win the game for us. And that, to me, is what the great ones have, is that want to make sure every game is dictated by what they do, knowing that they're going to have to handle some losses and they're going to have to shoulder that at times. But we know that it's on us. We have nobody else to blame at the end of the day except us, one way or another. And that's how I always loved it to be.
I think you bring up so many good points there, Kurt, because we've talked about how there have been times where it just seemed like the risk was coached out of Caleb Williams a little bit. Afraid to throw an interception. Defensive-minded head coach, easy to see why that might be the case. But I feel like what we saw yesterday were some heat check throws. He wasn't afraid to throw into double coverage to Keenan Allen. He wasn't afraid to throw some darts. You mentioned the fastball. I feel like we saw that a few times. Just some real quick things where you have to push your own limits a little bit to see what you can do.
Yeah, I think, again, it comes back to what I was talking about earlier. It's just playing free and playing fast. When you're playing fast, you're just playing, and the thoughts that come into your mind or the things that you see in front of you, you're not second guessing it. You're not overthinking it. You're just playing football. And that, to me, is that pace that I'm talking about with Caleb. Hey, look at your first guy. If it's not there, move on. Whatever that move on means, take off and run. Go create. Get to that next read. But just move on and feel confident, like you're talking about early in the year. I think sometimes, you can get to the point as a young quarterback, and you hear people talk and maybe you watch the film and you realize, oh, shoot, maybe I missed something there and I didn't see it clearly enough. And so you can handcuff yourself a little bit by going, okay, I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss. Make sure you look at that and make sure you look at every angle to make sure whether it's open or not, instead of just going, hey, I didn't think it was open. Move on. Like, okay, maybe I missed that one, but I'm convicted in what I'm seeing or why I'm moving on, and then just move on and play. And I think that's what we're seeing from Caleb. And I don't know what the big change was from Coach Walden to Coach Brown. Because the plays are basically the same. When you go out and watch them, I mean, they're running exactly the same plays. What are they taking off his plate? Or what did they do that makes him feel more comfortable? Did they not give him as many options at the line of scrimmage where he's sitting there thinking about, okay, do I want to run this play, or should I check to another play, or do I need to change the protection? And now he's just playing. And like I said, it's not perfect. He's still got a long way to go, but just playing fast and playing free to say, hey, I see a window there, stick your back foot in the ground and rip it. And maybe it wasn't the perfect read because there was defenders around it, but he believed that he could make the throw. The one wow play that he made, running and throwing it up over the top, I think it was Swift down the sideline. He missed a hot there. He should have thrown it to Swift in the flat right now because he had a free hitter coming off the right-hand side. And so, that's a lot of times in the grade book, that's a minus. Like, that should have been a sack, should have been a free hitter on Caleb. And the ball should have been out of his hands, but he didn't see it and he just reacted. And he reacted and didn't react and run out and throw the ball away or take a sack, which now we get a double negative, right? Because not only did we not see the protection, but then we made a bad play worse. But he's playing free and going, oh, I made a mistake. And now let me just go out and be free and try to make a play. And that's exactly what he did there. And so, I think that's a perfect example of, it's not perfect yet. There's still a long way to go. But these last 2 weeks, for whatever reason, whatever they've done to free him up, has made it look a lot different. And it's allowed him to make some of those special plays because he's just reacting and playing and doesn't look like he's thinking nearly as much.
Kurt, the biggest win for the Rams last night, I think, was probably the pregame ceremony when your Super Bowl 34 team was honored. What was that moment like, just getting together with former teammates and having that in LA?
I mean, it's always great to get back together. I think, all of us, we love to be able to celebrate the memories and the moments and our accomplishments at different times. So to get everybody back together, to be able to celebrate that team, and I think how special that team was, not just on the field, but off the field. I think, to recognize, all of us as a group recognize how special that offense was, specifically how we kind of ushered in what we see in the NFL now and how teams play now. So we take great pride in that. So it was a fun night. It was fun to be in that building. I know it was a different building than I played in, being that my career was in St. Louis. But just be able to have all the guys back together, celebrate that championship with the organization that gave us all an opportunity. It was a really cool evening.
Kurt, as always, we appreciate your time and your knowledge. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we appreciate everything you do for this show. So thank you very much.
You got it. We'll talk to you guys soon.
You got it. That is Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback.